So we got another two-banger for you this week. First, we are joined by the reigning and defending Bassmaster Classic champion Justin Hamner joins us with this month's Hamner Time. And then we are joined by Mr. Muskie himself. That's right, Pete Mania joins us to talk about all things going on in the fishing industry and how it affects the Musky World. This week, Justin Hamner and Pete Mania join me on...
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, humpers. Of course, you're all welcome here at the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. Welcome into the 159th edition of the Mercer Podcast. I hope you are having a wonderful week and a happy hump day to all of you. Hard to believe it is May 1st. Already, which, I mean, is a great time of year. I mean, the birds are chirping, the sun is out in most parts of the world. This is when the world comes to life. So come on out of hibernation, and while you're doing it, hey, tune into this podcast, which you already have if you're hearing my voice. I thank you guys for watching each and every week. I'll be honest, there's some parts of this job that I'm not very good at. And one of those is the asking a pro a question at the end to ask the next pro. I was enjoying doing that, but I've forgotten to do it, and I forget to do it again on this show. But I promise that will be back for those of you that keep messaging. Another thing that I'm going to bring back is I'm going to bring back, way back in the original part of this show, we used to read one comment every single week. And I'm going to don the glasses and read a comment from last week's show. Be clear, this is not my words. These are comments I'm reading from somebody else, but they are somewhat humorous. This is from Bass and Fun. In this week's edition of Mercer, the camera wizard goes for a ride of a lifetime, 2 days in a row. Dave breaks the rule and orders the egg foo yuck, and well, he pays the price 2 days in a row. In the glory story of the weekend, our boy Corey Johnson wins his first blue trophy by a whole day, leaving him the option to go nurse on Dave if need be, or go swimming with the kids, maybe shop around town. In any event, he leaves Cooper Gallant as the only Canadian still without a blue trophy. That was a little mean. In Lunatic's Corner, Ontario denies kids the rights to slay creatures in the mist until they're 12. Hell, by that age, whitetail won't be the first tail to come to mind. Come on, Ontario. Get with the program. And last but not least, some no-balls Looney Tune that can't catch him wants to spend his free time stalking dudes who can catch him, only to jump the gun and protest these anglers he only wishes he could be. Only to learn he's still an idiot. Great show as always, Dave. So there's this week's news, according to, what was his name again? I mean, he's very, very talented news writer. Bass and Fun. So thank you, Bass and Fun. It won't be his stuff I read every single week, but I will read a comment every single week. I'll remember to do that. And I will remember to do the ask a question, answer a question stuff that I had getting going. But let's just jump right into this week's show, because we are starting with none other than our reigning and defending Bassmaster Classic champion. Barely has a voice, but he's here for Hamner Time. It's happening, the first ever Hamner Time segment.
Yeah.
You've been waiting for this, haven't you?
I've been waiting. This is the only reason I did good in that tournament.
Just so we could do
try
this?
To get that, yeah, try to get that residency.
Hey, well, you got it now. You got it now.
You have the first one. I don't have a voice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's going on with your voice?
You got me sick.
No, I think you've been podcasting around, if you ask me. I've been seeing you all on all those different podcasts getting that voice wore out.
Yeah, because I'm usually not one to talk, so now everybody's making me talk. It's terrible.
Are you tired of telling that story about searching for change?
Yes, I am.
That's
I hate it.
And now for this segment, we're gonna make
Let's-
Justin Hamner cry. I don't even believe you're really
Yeah.
crying anymore. I believe you've told it enough times that the
Yeah,
show must
just
go
like,
on.
hey, y'all want to talk about how broken poor I was? Let's go.
Not anymore,
Oh,
though. Not anymore.
I'm
You
so
you
rich.
you you I mean, you have your name on a freaking NASCAR, bro. I mean,
That
well,
was
you
so
had it.
cool.
It's what happened to the name? Like,
Uh,
do you get that part of the
it
car?
they're actually so he actually wrecked right there at the end. I don't
Oh,
know if you saw that.
I
It
was
was
busy at a bass
nuts.
tournament, is what I was doing.
Oh, you still do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I
You
didn't
weren't
see.
part of that weekend.
No, I was not. It was but no, dude. So like going into the like whatever to the finish line, everybody's like vying for the spots and all this stuff. The dude that's led it for like 20 or 30 laps, he's trying to fend everybody off and like barely bumps one of the dudes, spins him out. So everybody behind, I mean, it was just like chaos. It was so cool. But anyways, they're actually getting like it's not the piece of the car, I don't think. I think it's just the laminate that they had over it. But Ross Chastain, the driver, like signed it and they're framing it and sending it to me. It's gonna be
Wow,
freaking sweet.
wow. I was a little let down.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be your face, but it was just your
Yeah.
name. I mean, I really thought it was going to be.
Gee, big old teeth just shining at you.
So, how was that whole experience? I mean, it was Talladega. I mean, doesn't get much
Yeah,
more
'cause
Alabamian than that.
it don't roll tide. Um, I've never been before. Like, it's embarrassing to say, being from Alabama, I never been to Dega. It was insane. Like, just the crowd, son, Alabama's finest was there. I can
Really?
promise you that. And their cousins. They were there in full force. But they actually like, I mean, I can't go to another race now without being in the pits. Like
Yeah,
that was too cool. Like
yeah.
what in the world? They literally had us like in the pit stop. Like we're just sitting there like hanging out with the guys that's changing the tires and stuff. And they have like the pit box that raises up above it and actually have the headsets on and listening to the driver talking with like the people that's directing. I don't know. There's a bunch of logistics into it that I did not expect, but it was cool. And then like two boosts down, whatever was Michael Jordan. Okay,
Champions like
hanging
to hang
out
out with
around him.
champions. Did you?
Apparently, even though he just like ignored me, but
He
he
loves
didn't
fishing,
ignore me.
though.
I know. That's what you said. I was like, I didn't know he loved fishing.
Cat's 23. He's got a boat. Cat's 23. I mean,
I missed my opportunity.
you did.
He
You
had
did.
some big body, like Michael Jordan's a big dude, but his bodyguards, they
Bigger?
pretty big. Yeah, they bigger. They big.
Wow.
I whenever they told me in the back, just like, okay, I'm sorry. I know I look feisty and all, but yeah, I
You're
I
wiry.
needed I needed you. I
You
needed
did.
you.
Well,
Yeah.
you needed me for more than that week. I mean, we made a deal on this show where I was gonna, gentlemen, start or drivers start your engines. I guess gentlemen's not
I
the
think
right
we can
way
go
to
back to
say it
gentlemen's
anymore.
now that what's her name's not there anymore. So
Well, hey. Um,
they them start your engines. What is it?
so do you think somewhere in the world, Michael Jordan, like he'll see this podcast and be like, are you kidding me? I was that close to the Bassmaster Classic champions.
If that happens, reach out. I'll come. We'll meet. I'll sign your I'll sign your forehead if you want me to. I don't care.
Did anyone recognize you there? Did you get recognized?
I actually did. Like it was weird. There was like other pit crew. I don't know. I think it was the monster car. Like
Uh-huh.
one of their pit guys like saw me and was like, "Oh dang, dude," and started talking to me and gave me a few energy drinks. That was cool. But yeah,
Nice.
there was like several people. It was awesome. I don't know. It's weird. I ain't used to that.
What?
I'm just the guy that's like always been like in the corner, just like, "Hey guys, I like to fish." Now it's like they just shove you out there. And like,
Well,
oh, okay, cool. My name's on that car. Let's go.
I
It's
think, I
been
mean,
fun though.
I guess. I guess. I mean, how long were you there for the whole race? Like you got there early and
Oh
stayed till
yeah,
the end?
absolutely. I
Nice.
mean, there ain't no missing that wreck at the end. It was
No,
crazy.
no.
And yeah. And then Michael Jordan's dude wins it, so they like pull us around back to the big victory thing that they had set up. It was it was awesome.
So you
Thank
went
you,
around
jockey.
to the victory thing.
Yeah. Oh
Oh
yeah.
wow. Wow.
I mean, like it was legit. They sitting there, I don't
All
know,
right.
popping champagne. I wanted a bottle.
Popping bottles.
That's what we need to do for like we need to I love the classic celebration and everything. I wouldn't mind if you had a bottle of champagne and just sprayed me down with it. That would
Dude,
have I'd have
let,
been fine with that.
let's make a deal. I mean, if you win it next year, I'll buy the bottle
Oh,
of champagne. I mean, it won't be
yes,
great,
sir.
but I will buy it. And when you're just all adorned with all that confetti, I will just spray you, and it'll be a
Oh,
sticky mess.
I'd still be picking off confetti. That stage would never be the same again.
Hey, all you got to do is win the class again. That's easy.
Yeah, nothing to it.
Florida swing went good for you. I mean, you're still in the top 10 for angler of the year. You what,
Yeah,
20 something in the first one, Harris Chain. Then
yeah.
I was sick for part of the St. John's River, but so were you by the looks of the
Yeah, I
standings.
know.
What
I
happened?
was sick like 3 or 4 days later. Um, you know, who knows how I got that?
You never even saw me. How could you didn't get it from me? You never even saw me the whole tournament. I mean, you didn't make the weekend. I
You
was like,
interviewed me that morning.
well, that did. We did have a
Yeah,
conversation.
we did not get close enough. I'm just joking, Dave. You didn't get me sick. It was Swindle. Um, yeah,
Why was it swindle?
because he was sick,
Yeah, okay. There was a
and
lot of
then
people sick. Like it's
yeah,
going
I
around.
think it was a lot of like the leftover classic stuff. Just been like slowly making its way through everybody. It's like a lot of the guys that that will work at the expo and stuff. They all get sick, and then started slowly getting some
Some of
ones that
us.
didn't have to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, got
Well,
us, got us. But Florida was fun, dude. I like it was Harris Chain. It was tough. I mean, it was tough,
you
but it
did
was
good
fun
though.
fishing. Yeah, it was. It was like back to the swim jig. I threw swim jig and frog and flip both weeks actually. That was cool. But at St. John's, I had such a good practice. Like I hate good practices. This is what happens every time. I like found some fish way off, like off the beaten trail. They was like, I think it ended up being me and Paul Mueller who were like the only two guys in there. Um, I mean, massive fish on bed, like big ones. And I don't know, I still don't understand these tidal fisheries enough. But that's what kind of kills me is I'm always waiting for that tide to like drop or come up or whatever they're supposed to bite in. It's like, okay, they're not doing their thing now. It's because the tide isn't right. So I just wait around and wait around. And that's what happened that first day. I was like, okay, there was massive ones on bed here the day before. Maybe the tide ain't right. And no, they were just gone. And I mean, obviously it was too late before I figured that out. They just bailed. So yeah, the next day I just went back to that same area and just pulled out and heck yeah, I can do that now. I qualify for the classic. I can do stupid stuff like that, right?
Yeah. I,
It was,
I can't believe the
it
guy
was
that always says roll tide is blaming the tide. Like, I mean, of all people, how can you blame the tide?
I'm not blaming the tide. I just don't get that tide. I get the other tide. They
Okay.
just win than they
Yeah.
used to. We'll see what happens now, but that's a
Hey,
different story.
speaking of, I went down, sometimes you get on the internet and you go down like a rabbit hole or mole hole, whatever they're calling. But I mean, I did
Mhm.
go down a hole, and I've become obsessed with somebody, and I need to know, do, do you know Roll Tide Willie?
Oh my God. Do you want him on here?
Come on, you don't know him, do you?
I think we can make that happen.
Come on.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the tide.
He
Dude,
Roll Tide Willie's dude. He went from having no teeth. Now he's got all fake chiclets. He's got all
no
brand new.
way.
Oh yeah, he was on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and I mean he's looking good. He's hit. Your life is
Hey.
not the only life that's changing in Alabama. Let's just put it that way.
That dude is hilarious.
He really is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, we need to make that happen. We'll make that happen.
So, I mean,
I mean,
you're good at
I
making
don't know
promises
him.
and not following through. So, I mean, my
Okay.
next time we do Hamner Time, but we're gonna have you could bring a special guest. You can bring Roll Tide Willie.
Yeah. Now we're getting somewhere, Dave.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I like that. Uh,
Have you
I
ever
want to
met him?
interview him. Let me interview him. No, I
Yeah.
ain't met him.
Yeah. I'll just be like, here's our special correspondent, Justin Hamner, for Hamner Time, and I'll just sit and
Yes.
watch.
It's just, oh my gosh. I just want to get him so fired up about Saban leaving.
Oh, he
Just get
gets
him rolling on
emotional.
that.
He gets
He
emotional.
does.
How was that for you? Like,
That'll be a fun interview.
was that a dark day in Alabama when Saban announced that he was retiring? Like, can we
It
talk
was
about it
like
or?
not for me. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I just look at it as we've had a freaking amazing run, and I'm glad we've had what we had. Ain't gonna worry about.
Is that over
Well,
now
yeah,
that these players are getting paid and going all over the place? Now things are.
I mean, Saban kind of come out and said that was he didn't want to just like straight up call it out, like, oh, this sucks. But you hear like some of his deeper interviews. Yeah, that was a big root of why he left.
Now that I don't get
So
10 first round draft picks every year, this job's not
exactly,
near as fun.
this job sucks. uh, but
Oh,
no, I mean, I think that new coach, DeBow, whatever, however you say it, he'll be all right. But anybody following Saban,
it's a tough act
I
to
feel bad
follow.
for him. That's a bad one.
Feel like
I
winning
don't
the
know.
classic next year if you don't win it. Like having to follow you is,
Oh gosh, I feel sorry for that dude.
yeah,
But I mean, if it's me again, feel
giddy
sorry
up,
for him.
giddy
Oh
up.
yeah, that
Yeah.
giddy up. That's,
All right. So Roll Tide Willie's going to be on next month's show on Hamner Time.
yep,
All
yep.
right. You got the
Okay.
we're going to Lake Murray here in a week's time, right? Is that where we're
I
going
don't know
next?
what month is this.
What do you not? You've lost connection. I mean, this.
I don't know. It's been wild.
Yeah.
I'll say that, Dave. It's been
Hamner Time.
wild. Hamner
Hamner
time has
Time.
been. Hamner has no time. I did think that we had 3 weeks off, and I was like planning stuff out, and then my wife's like, you're going to be in South Carolina that week. I was like, oh crap, okay.
But we
So
got a
yeah,
month after that.
um,
We got like a month after that.
I'm looking forward to that. We're going to Disney during that off time, so
You
I'm
should bring
excited
Roll
about
Tide
that.
Willie with you.
No, I won't.
Well, come on. I mean, it's you, your wife, and your beautiful daughter.
And Roll Tide Willie.
That's three. only 2 go in each ride. You need to bring somebody. You 3
Who's
and
gonna
roll
ride with
tide.
him?
What?
I guess my wife can ride with him.
If you get roll tide Willie, like I feel like if the Bassmaster Classic champion who used to cut the freaking lawns at the University of Alabama can't get roll tide Willie, who the hell can?
Challenge accepted. We're gonna have him on.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, that's a party.
Yeah, this residency's off to a hot start.
Hey, it's gonna be as soon as I get my voice back.
Is that what's holding you back this week? You think your voice? I mean, how many podcasts have you done?
Oh, it's not. I'm sick. Like, it's just I'm sick. So sorry if I didn't bring the great energy that I normally have. You know,
I'm just happy you showed up.
Yeah, but I'm on the rebound of it, so hopefully
You left
we'll be
it
good
all on
tomorrow.
straight
That one's
casts.
gonna be fun. Yeah, just left it all on the line for that one. That was,
well, hey,
it was good. But Murray's gonna be fun, Dave.
Is it okay? We're talking about fishing again. This is a different.
Oh
spin.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean we don't have to.
No, I like it. I mean, some people might enjoy it. It is a fishing podcast after all. Well, how's Murray gonna fish?
Did you see? You probably don't even look at it, but like they had that big bass tournament there this weekend, or last weekend, and it was like 40 something fish weighed in over 6 pounds, and then like 100 and something over 5, and then like an insane number of over 4s.
Wow.
Like in the hundreds. Like it was wild. So
wow.
I mean, it should be good. Top water blow ups, herring deal. It's gonna be awful.
Good times.
Fun.
Good times. Yeah. And then we're to Alabama for 2 sweltering hot events where
those will be just something.
Yeah.
Don't even know what to say about that.
Kicking off the second half of the season. Let's see how much you don't like bass fishing.
Yeah. This is like one of those just what is it, the triathlon?
Yeah, that's it.
We're definitely going into the tough, but then we get to coast at the end.
Okay. Well, I need you to go find Roll Tide Willie, because then this will work out perfect. Because then we'll become friends. You'll become, you're the Bassmaster Classic champion.
We're
you
friends.
And Roll Tide Willie will be friends. And then I'll kind of become his friend through you. And then I'll have him on Bass Live when I'm in Alabama sweating. I don't give a bit about nothing but the tide.
Nothing but the tide. Don't you have like a hockey puck drop in?
Yeah.
What did they do?
Go.
Did they just throw it in the air? Is it the tip off?
Yeah. Yeah. The puck drop. It's happening right now.
They already lost, Dave.
Probably. No. Thanks.
You got to be more like supportive. Get excited.
I'm excited.
You talked to me earlier. You're just like, yeah, they're about to play, but we're gonna lose.
Well, that's what we do.
We haven't won since 1862.
It was 1967. Thank you.
It doesn't matter that long ago. Come on, Dave.
I wasn't alive.
Were you even alive then?
I wasn't even alive. I wasn't even alive. My older brother wasn't even alive. Gosh, there was 6 teams in the league. No joke. There was 6 teams in the league. No wonder we won. Sooner or later, you're gonna win. All right.
How much do they still try to ride that championship?
They don't talk about it a lot. The banners are up there, but none of the pictures are in color.
If you can have a colored picture of your championship, yeah.
Hey, but listen, the Chiefs used to be that team. The Chiefs people were like, why are you a Chiefs fan? And now I stuck with them, and now it is glorious. Now people think I'm a bandwagon jumper. So I'll stick with the Leafs.
All right.
Just like I
The
stuck with
Leafs?
you. You weren't always a champ. Yeah, they're the Leafs. The Toronto
No
Maple
wonder
Leafs.
they don't win.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
How do you cheer for a Leaf? Come on, Dave. That's rough. I feel for you. Go Leaf.
This has been Hamner Time.
Roll Tide.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the time.
Nothing but the time.
That was mean. Mean stuff you said about my team.
The Leafs? I don't even. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm nothing against them, but it's a Leaf. Is that the best they could come up with?
So that was the very first edition of Hamner Time. Justin Hamner, the reigning and defending Bassmaster Classic champion, will be here once a month, every month for this entire year. And I thank him for doing that. And maybe that's what we'll turn this segment into. Maybe I'll just challenge the Classic champion to go accomplish things to help this show. Like, do you think he'll pull it off? Will Justin Hamner get Roll Tide Willy on this show? I mean, I think he can do it. I have faith in him. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you haven't checked out Roll Tide Willy, go check him out and put aside about an hour because it's going to take you down a little rabbit hole or mole hole or whatever it's called. Roll Tide Willy is a character, and I like dealing with characters. And this next guest is a character as well. I've known him for a long time now, and he's never changed. Not his hairstyle, not his way of life. He is the genuine article, as they say. He is a big deal in the musky world, and it's very interesting to get inside his head, get under that incredible mane of hair that he has, and get inside his brain and see what's going on in his mind. The one and only Pete Mania. Pete Mania, how are you, dude?
I am great, Dave. Actually, it's spring, so I'm pretty excited about that.
What happens to you in the spring? Do you come out of hibernation? But where are we finding you right now? Is this your home?
This is actually home, yeah. Well, the birds sing, Dave, and actually, I'm really into turkey hunting, and that's one of the birds that I like to listen to singing. I guess it wouldn't necessarily be described as singing, gobbling, but hey, it's close. Right? So,
what is it about turkey hunting that drives? I mean, people get obsessive about turkey hunting. Half the Elite Series, I think, would quit if they had a chance. If they started an Elite Series for turkey hunting, they'd be gone.
Now, see, that makes me love you bass guys even more, that many people are addicted to that. Yes, I mean, especially a guy like me who's stupid enough to fish for muskies. You know, they're hard to get. It's the same challenge to me. You wanna fool them, and make them think you're a sexy hen, and call them right on in and kill them. That's the whole idea. But they got amazing vision, and there's a million things that can go wrong. And one thing about it, though, for sure, if you're kind of addicted to excitement, that's I don't know, my heart gets popping. I will call a turkey for just about anyone. So Dave, you need to come down sometime. I'd love to call one for you. Have you done it?
I've not done. I never grew up hunting. My family never hunted. I mean, I've got a ton of buddies who hunt, and I've gone out. I've actually sat in trees and I think it's cool, but I've never actually hunted myself. So that makes me feel unmanly talking to you right now.
That's okay, Dave.
The world needs people like me. Or turkey hunting would be a lot harder because everyone would be doing it. But no, it's something I think I'd like to get into, but it's always just time. Like everything in life is, finding the time to do it. But it amazes me, like how obsessed people are with. I mean, it's whitetail, turkey are the two things that like people will destroy everything in their life just to hunt those. It's Is it the way you feel about turkey hunting now? Would you compare it to how you felt about musky fishing when you first got into it?
Exactly. I was just going to say I could easily write the book Turkeys Suck now after, Muskies basically controlled my life for decades now. And I obviously wrote Muskies Suck. But yeah, it's just one of those things when the time comes in spring, I'm torn. Obviously, I love to fish and not just muskies. And, I'm excited to be able to get out and chase some bass and panfish and walleye and whatever else. But yeah, it's a tug of war. And I got to be perfectly honest. If I was told I could either turkey hunt or fish this time of the year when it's I would say turkeys.
Really?
If I could only do one or the other, yeah.
Why?
Yeah, well, what I told you, they're a challenge. I don't know. There's something so addicting about it. You have some memorable telling the stories about turkey hunting is as much fun as doing it too with the other people that are into it. I'm sure you could get into those kind of conversations. In fact, you've probably overheard those kind of conversations with the crazy bass guys you said that would leave everything else in their life to go turkey hunting. It's kind of like that. And just that kind of excitement, there's nothing quite like it. When you finally have everything go right, if you've done it a lot and you fool one there's a split second period where if you've done it a lot, they're coming. And then a lot of times there's more than one coming, and it's just a matter of where and when. And when they come, they usually come fast. So that's excitement.
All right. If I try it ever, I'm coming up. I'm coming. You can call them now. Do you do like the mouth call or the box call, or what kind of caller are you?
I'm more of a mouth caller because I don't have to be moving. So
Okay.
when I do it, and it's a lot more versatile to me. Sometimes I like to move around to actually act like a live hen that I'm changing positions. So it's a lot easier to do that. Well, I hunt in the woods a lot. A lot of people hunt in fields and open blinds here in Wisconsin where I'm at. I'm mainly in the woods.
Okay.
I mean, you don't see them coming from a long distance, this, that, and the other. So you're able to move around, and that's a tactic that I've figured out in when you're woods hunting is very effective. And a lot of guys can't do it in places where they're more wide open, but I can move around and act like an actual turkey. I can get them mad because I'm going away, or I'll come towards them a little bit and then I'll go away fast, and I mess with them. So Zona likes turkey hunting.
Sure, yeah. He loves to shoot things.
Yeah.
So when you're acting like a turkey, is it just it thinks you're a turkey because the sound is moving, or are you physically acting like a turkey, Pete?
Well, I try and act like a turkey too, just in case they get close enough to see me. But no, the whole concept is the actual sound of it, right? Because most of the time the turkey guys are stagnant. Now, see, in nature, Dave, the gobbler actually expects the hen to come to him. They normally display and they gobble their butts off, and the hen's supposed to come to them. So that's a game you get into sometimes as well. They generally, in a lot of cases, they'll get to a particular spot they like to strut, and they gobble and they want the hen to come. So you got to convince them that you're sexy, but you're a little bit of a bitch, and they're going to have to come to you, right? So you got to play hard to get.
Hard to get. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued. How do you sorry, I'm just getting over pneumonia, but how does one act like a little bit of a bitch?
Well, you walk away. Plain and simple, Dave.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you screech and you sound sexy, but the thing is you're walking away. You're not coming to the guy where he's strutting. You're moving on over. You're going to go find somebody else, right?
So okay, so the gobbler is the hen is the female and the gobbler is the male, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so when the gobbler comes in, he's ready to rock, or it's the hen that comes in, correct? Which comes in.
technically they'd both be ready to rock because you're making a hen sound that generally is, I'm ready to rock. Okay.
Okay.
So
And what is it? Can you make that sound now, or do you need apparatuses? Do you need like a?
I don't have an apparatus with me. Otherwise
Okay.
I could, but yeah, they're out in the truck.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Wow. Wow. Okay, this is intriguing me, and I've never even done it. I'm seeing why there's such interest in this.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta play mind games, Dave. It's kind of like fishing.
Yeah.
You got fish, especially pressured fish. You got to play mind games with them, man. You got to make them eat one way or the other. Same thing with the turkey. Well, I guess it
Gotcha.
isn't really related to food. It's related to sex, but whatever. Either would work. You get a big guy hungry. It's the same effect to a certain extent. It certainly goes with the fish, right?
I don't know, Pete. I've got a different when I'm hungry. It's a little different, I think. But yeah, I got you. I got you. People will do dumb things for two things
Right.
on earth. That's food and sex.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, this is already off the rails, and we just started, Pete.
Yeah, that happens.
How's things in the muskie world? Because I'll be honest, the bass fishing world right now, I've never seen a time where there has been more seemingly disgruntled people about, and it's not just forward facing sonar, it's just everything. Is it the time we are living in? Like, is it just how are things in the muskie world? Are people happy in the muskie world?
To be honest, Dave, no, they're not. We fight a lot and this, that, and the other. There's egos involved and all these different things that go on. But yeah, it's been a little fired up, I guess, worse than normal lately. But who knows? It might be just the general climate too. We can talk whatever, Dave. We can talk freedom, politics, money. You want to talk fiat currency? You got any of them Canadian maple leafs up there, Dave? You got any of that silver? Do you collect any of that? You got the pretty maple leafs on yours.
No, I'm not. I'm not prepared. I'm not. I know you. I know you're prepared. You've always been prepared, and my way of being prepared is I'm just going to show up at Pete's house. Surprise!
Oh, yeah, we're going to learn how to turkey hunt, and away we
go. Do you think that's just the way the world is right now, where everybody has an opinion on everything? Like, you think it's always been like this, and is it worse now, or has it always been like this before? It was just three guys in a circle at a tackle shop complaining about stuff, and now the tackle shop has gotten a lot bigger because people can talk to the world.
Yeah. No, well, I don't think there's any doubt, Dave, that social media has a big part to do with it. There's the fast sharing of information, this, that, and the other. And then obviously people can talk, not looking at one another eye to eye. I think, unfortunately, that makes a big difference too. But yeah, it's just the hopefully we can figure out a way to turn it around. But I would say overall the instant communication, instant gratification to some degree, maybe a big part of it. And on the whole forward facing thing, it's a big deal in the muskie world.
Is it?
But what I'm hoping to concentrate more on is just the fisheries themselves. Everybody's divided, I guess, on me personally, I'm old fashioned. If you look at fair chase, I guess I would argue it isn't, but that doesn't matter. There's nobody I'm mad at. It's amazing. It's too good, Dave. It's awesome stuff. So you can't blame anybody who uses it, and there's no sense arguing over it because everybody's got a different opinion on that. The only thing that that's interesting to me is that I've had quite a few guys, what's generally you don't get this kind of stuff publicly, but just a lot of conversations on are the fisheries going to be able to handle it to some degree. And I would add quickly, which I'm sure you would agree with, it's funny how forward facing sonar can kind of get the blame for all of this all of a sudden, because it was a big leap. But obviously it's all these years, Dave, it's been it's been the map chips, that comes out, and then the imaging and all these different things. And then you and I, what have we been doing for years? Zona, a lot of the people we know, I'll never forget this. I had a buddy of mine by the name of Dick Pearson, which kind of an icon of mine that I fished years ago. Probably the most prolific explorer of the Canadian Shield, all the different musky lakes up there way back when. And I remember one night we're sitting there, possibly it was morning, I don't remember for sure, but we were discussing how there was getting to be a little more musky fishing pressure in all areas and even up in Canada. And he said something very profound at one point. We were complaining about this extra pressure because we like the lakes to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
It says we see the enemy in the mirror every morning. And I'm like, yeah, because he was the guy that was written up years ago as like one of the guys in Fisherman magazine for musky stuff, right? So we were both essentially into it. So laying blame. Well, there's all kinds of blame, I guess you could say. But if obviously we all want to grow the sport. We hear that out of the companies. Obviously, the companies that make the electronics, and I guess everybody in fishing, whether it's guys like us or whatever level guides, whatever it might be, the companies that produce things to make it easier. We all want it to be better, and we all want to grow. We always hear about grow. I guess the one thing, obviously, the fisheries are finite in size, and one thing here in Wisconsin, we actually see reduced stocking. I don't know if that's true of every state, and I don't even really know how much stocking goes on in Canada anywhere, but that's something that to me needs to be somewhat considered, especially if we want to grow it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the number of bodies. Do you hear any of that kind of stuff talked about out there?
Yeah, I mean, it all gets talked about. I think in Ontario specifically, and I mean, it all depends on the species, but there isn't a lot of stocking. Ontario has a great resource because it has a great resource. I've always said, I mean, then I don't want to get in a war with the Ministry of Natural Resources. They do some great things, but I just think that we live in a great part of the world. Like there's a lot of that is it's the way it is because it's the way we live where the fish are. You know what I mean? Like these lakes haven't gotten a lot of pressure. They're getting more pressure now. I don't think it's to the point where it's too much pressure, but are you seeing in musky fishing, are you seeing the same? Because in bass fishing right now, like 10, 15 years ago, people would say, well, where are the kids? Like, are kids going to get, now it is all kids. Like it is 19-year-old kids. I mean, we just had the youngest Elite Series champion ever. You look at the 9 guys who qualified through the opens this year, and it's the oldest person is 34 years old. We haven't had a tournament won by somebody over 40 this year. Are you seeing that same sort of thing happen in the musky world?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of young guys that are really into it. And generally, and I like them all, generally all of them use the forward-facing sonar and brace it. It's interesting. I've talked to some who say they would rather not, but the reality of life is, especially if you're a guide, you don't have any choice because you're not going to be able to compete. It is that effective in certain situations, right? So, but yeah, if we, and you're right, we were complaining about not enough youth in the sport. We got it now. We got youth, we got women, it's growing, and that's the interesting thing now. Some of the people, and again, this part of it, with the fisheries being able to handle it, and believe me, I'm not saying I have a handle on everything, but overall, I fished quite a few different places compared to most people. overall musky fishing's gotten tougher. You don't see as many follows as you used to. I remember when you and I fished together, I was always on you about figure eights and stuff. But anyway, some of that kind of stuff is slowing down. I don't think the fisheries are knocked down all that much. I think that's somewhat learned avoidance just from a lot of fishing pressure. So it's hard to put a gauge on all of that. But overall, it's tougher to catch them. And if you're having a private conversation with people, that's what you hear. And including, Canada, Ontario, Sunset Country has got tons of tremendous musky lakes. You're hearing that, and you're hearing a little bit of concern of maybe even the populations as well. That's one thing about up there with those lakes are all huge and whatever, but there's no stocking that I'm aware of. And boy, it would take a lot of stocking. You certainly don't want to get behind on anything like that. But overall, it's a little tougher. And I think the learned avoidance too is that real tight windows. It's always been that way with muskies, but now it almost seems to be even worse. You go through these long periods where nothing's going on at all, and then the fish fire up, and you can literally miss one, whatever, in about 15 minutes, and all of a sudden they're trailing off again in activity. So it's changing. It's kind of been an interesting thing to watch and deal with it. I sound like I'm complaining to some degree, but all of this stuff creates new challenges, trying to figure out, how to work it and how to work around things and take advantage of the windows when they happen and try all kinds of different things. But it is realistically, something that, because there's so many more anglers and so many young anglers, and the young ones embrace the technology, I think there is a legitimate concern for, can the fisheries handle it? Because even if everyone is catching and releasing, there's still some mortality related to a whole lot of catching. Some fish are just going to get damaged and possibly die, and just because of the heat and this, that, and the other. Obviously, stress related stuff is a lot worse when the water's hot. So, and people love to fish, and there is a lot more fishermen, and they're so much better. I mean, I'm almost amazed when I think about 15, 20 years ago with what I used to see on the water. What I see on the water now is 95% of people, maybe a little less, but they're good.
Yeah, really good.
They know what they're doing. They're on the fish all the time.
Well, and it's not, like you said, it's not just forward facing sonar. It's every technology, and it's also the fact that everybody's got a phone that they can just quickly, hey, literally you can be on the water. And so, you used the example figure eighting years ago. I mean, if you're on the water and you hear someone say you got to figure eight and you have no idea how to do it, like, you got to go read an article, and that just wasn't now you can literally just, without even punching it, you can ask your phone, how do I figure eight muskie? And multiple videos will come, like, and it's that with everything. It's that with fluorocarbon leaders. It's that with how do you use your electronics. It's everything. So, I mean, there has definitely been an education boom. To play devil's advocate, and dude, you know me. I mean, I literally don't have a side. I see the great stuff in technology. I've embraced a lot of the great things about technology for many years. But isn't this when I sat and listened to, the old guys talk when I was a young guy, they said the same thing, that fishing isn't what it used to be. It's not quite as good as it once was. How is it different now?
Yeah, well, that's a good one. I mean, I've never seen a topic like this that I'm not, usually I'm kind of a black and white. You're on one side of a fence or the other. Definitely not a fence rider, but yeah, this is tough. And I agree with that. And I don't really know. Again, I don't, how bad are the fisheries getting damaged really, or the fish getting smarter, the fish just getting spread out between more people? I honestly don't know, a lot of that. Uh, I had thought of this, that I thought would be interesting to, kind of keep everybody involved, but just, what I would think is interesting about this, having lakes that a few here in Wisconsin, we've got tons of little different waters. We could actually do it here where you would go and you could not use your electronics. Didn't matter. We're not saying people that got totally loaded boats can't fish, but you can't have your screens on, period. Nothing. End of story. And everybody goes. Now, to me, it would be kind of interesting to see if, after, it would take a few years, but to see if there was any difference with learned avoidance or anything with the way the fish react. And then the other thing, on the topic of how we used to listen to the old timers and they said the fishing was better then and all of that, were they just grumpy old guys or whatever? I would be interested to see how many people choose to try it. I mean, I totally have no idea if it would be unpopular, Dave, or if a lot of people would want to have that opportunity to go to a lake where you couldn't use any of the electronics.
How do you patrol something like that? I mean, people don't keep speed limits. I mean, literally, they have signs like however distance what the speed is. Your GPS nowadays actually shows you if you're speeding, and people don't keep speed limits. So how are you gonna expect anglers to be like, yeah, no, I turned it off, I didn't use it? You know what I mean? I'm not.
There's going to be cheating. However, with the screens today, I mean, especially guys that got boats that are kind of maxed out, I mean, you're going to get busted by the other anglers.
Yeah.
I think it'll self-police. It's a great point you make. I mean, it'd be horrible for a warden to have to go try and, check everybody. And obviously somebody's, going to cheat and turn their GPS on long enough to find a spot in the middle of the lake and this, that, and the other. But, to whatever degree, it would just be, for the most part, people would be able to tell easily and self-police. Obviously, you're not going to see people cruising around using side imaging or forward-facing sonar. That would be completely obvious. And, again, there'll be a little cheating here or there, but those screens light up pretty good, even in the day.
So the tree cops are going to be out there looking for screens now.
Yeah.
I mean, send some drones out to check people's boats.
Yeah, we could have drones. We have technology for that now too. That would be
I honestly don't have an answer. Like I've just like everybody in the fishing industry, it's not once a month, it's not once a week, it's literally every day. I have this same conversation with people, and it's like, what is the future of this? Because there is part of me that looks at it like, I mean, 20-year-olds don't know how to read a map, but I don't judge them any different for getting to my house through their GPS versus if somebody shows up and says, hey, I did it the old fashioned way. I pulled out the pearlies and I, so I understand the people that are like, yeah, it takes something away from fishing. It takes away that whole part of the allure of musky fishing is part of the thing that frustrates me about musky fishing. And me and you have joked about it, but it's just that tireless quest of nonstop throwing baits the size of your shoe. And but then finally that dragon appears and it happens, but you don't know it's going to happen. So that mystique and that excitement is kind of missing from it, but it's been going that way for a long time with all the different technologies. Like it's, I don't know where the cutoff valve is, and I get it. Yeah, it'd be cool to have a case sample where you have some lakes where you can use it. In tournaments, people are saying it'd be cool to have some tournaments where you can and some tournaments where you can't. That's hard to police, but it's a lot more realistic to police than actual full lakes. You know what I mean? These
Right.
guys are competing. I don't know where it goes. Where would you say in the muskie world, would you say the majority of people are for or against it?
Oh, I would say it's about half and half right now. And I really honestly, I don't personally have a problem with anyone that uses it. The only personal problem I have is there are some that use it in deep water and warm water to get after some big fish that they wouldn't otherwise, be able to target. And for the most part, they know they're going to lose at least half the fish they're targeting, but they want that picture. There's only a handful of people doing that, but that's horrible as far as I'm concerned. Other than that, everybody else using it, I understand, I get it. And what you talked about, Dave, I've kind of shifted my fishing to be more heavy structure related, and places just trying to target fish where the forward facing sonar isn't that big of a deal, and try and pattern things in different ways, because I don't like looking at the screen. That's just a personal thing. And if you're going to be good at it, you have to look at the screen. I love where I'm at. I like looking around a little bit, and I'm hoping to see a muskie coming once in a while here and there. And yeah, I do want the shock factor. I don't, as dumb as it sounds to some people, probably, I don't want to see that fish coming on electronics. I mean, I just, but everybody's different with that. So it's really, to me, the only thing worth talking about all that much is whether or not, the fisheries are going to be significantly damaged, or whatever, however you want to say it. Can, with all the increased, people that we have, and technology and this, that, and the other, we're seeing it to some degree around here, especially stateside. So people chase them around on the ice a lot in the winter, panfish mainly.
Yeah.
But yeah, crappie, bluegill, and catches are still pretty good, and most people use it. It's not, by the way, it's not like I haven't used it. I have in my boat. I generally don't use it for muskie, but I've used it a couple times in a pinch, and it's pretty amazing. I had a tough muskie show going with my buddy Mr. Gillespie last year, and
Okay.
we decided to switch gears. He said, I need a show, and I got to finish this thing. We only got 2 muskies, so with 2 hours left, we got to catch some walleyes. And I mean, we started the old-fashioned way, and then I plopped that forward-facing sonar down there and started cruising and found some fish. And hey, it's I guess I'm a hypocrite in a way if I was a complainer about it. I'm not really against it. Again, the only my main concern is, with just the whole picture. Do we need to stock more fish? Now, I assume the ministries are the same way. I know our DNRs around here, Dave, are more or less like they do some supplementary stocking, they do some introductions and this, that, and the other, but They like to keep it that way. They've always said that, they want, they want natural reproduction, natural situation, this, that, and the other. My big question now, and no, it's not like I'm attacking them either, but if we want it to grow and continue to grow the way it is, and then what's going to slow down the technology? It's amazing now. I can't imagine, they're stopping. I would suspect, if anything, it's probably going to get better, easier, maybe even cheaper.
Yeah.
It's all going to be installed probably on trolling motors and whatever. Sooner or later, you're not going to need any extra devices probably or anything. And they're going to make it easier to use because that's what they do. So, do we, if we have this many people who want to fish and are good at it, do we need to throw a few more fish in the water, regardless of wanting to keep it natural?
Yeah.
Let people catch them.
I get that. I mean, and and there's put and take fisheries. There's places where they stock and they know people take. You know what I mean. It's part of what funds the future. And I agree with you totally on technology. It's going to be cheaper. That's kind of my argument when people are like, well, it's pricing people out. I mean, everything about fishing has priced people out for a long time. But the cool thing about fishing, you can do it whatever way you want. But technology always goes that way. It starts high and it gets lower, and you take a reel. I mean, a new feature on a reel, it starts at the highest price point, and before you know it, in 5 years, it's on the lowest price point reel, that feature. So I think that will go that way. I just don't know how it changes. Just because if you say there's 50% of musky anglers that like it, 50% of anglers that don't like it, I don't think anybody's going to argue on how that's skewed. Younger anglers are very embracing of it. Anglers a little bit older aren't. Well, in 10 years, that 50 is going to turn into a 30% versus 70%, just because people will age out of the sport.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a skit, I honestly hardly ever talk about it on this show anymore because it gets people so angry, but I don't know that there's an answer. Like, for people to say, just stop it. I mean, that's, how do you stop technology? It's never ever stopped, in the history of mankind, good, bad, or indifferent. That's just the way the world is. And it's just real weird. It's a weird time in the sport, Pete. Like, it's weird how people, it's black or white to people. Like, if you're for it, you're like, you tell somebody you're archaic if you don't like it. If you're for it, you're like, oh, you're just not with the times. And if you're against it, you're like, well, you just don't understand. But it's the first time in history we've been like that. Like, fly anglers have felt that way about people like me for years, and you know what I mean? They look at the way we fish. We use gear ratios and modern lines, and we buy lures, and they're tying all their stuff, and they don't use a gear ratio. Everything is very primitive. I mean, if you take the West Coast, the way they use mooching reels, I mean, they look at us as archaic. We look at them as archaic, and it's the same battle, but this time it's a lot more public. It's weird. It's a weird time. Where do you think it is 10 years from now? Like, how do you think this battle ends?
I don't know. That's the only reason I'm talking about the fisheries, because I don't want it to end badly, which could be, obviously, if fisheries got depleted enough, then the sport ain't growing then, Dave, if the bobbers stop sinking.
I agree.
And, that's the companies and everyone actually know that. So, and there is potential for that, just because it is realistically growing. That's why I think it's a good conversation. I think you and I, even though we haven't talked in a while, we're pretty much on the same page here with all of this. It is really all of a guess, but the fact that I've seen that many more people on the water every year, and there's a lot of young ones, which is great. You could argue, right? That's what we've always wanted, growing that sport. But it is extra pressure, and they're good, and they're younger. I used to stand there 16 hours a day and cast. I don't anymore, but now they can go 16 hours, and they've got technology and all the knowledge. So it's, it's realistically a concern. And when you're starting to see some of the signs of it, not being absolutely certain, again, how bad anything is, but to try and get in front of it, rather than, if fishing starts to slow down, frankly, because fishing sucks, because there's hardly any fish left, that's something we want to avoid, I think. I might be a grumpy old man who doesn't personally like to use forward-facing sonar musky fishing, but I still love fishing. I want to go fishing, but once in a while I have fun because I do like to look around and it's beautiful places and all that kind of stuff. But I do want to catch a fish once in a while, Dave.
I hear you. So how do you get ahead of it?
I don't know. Well, we're having this conversation, Dave. You and I are going to be leaders in this. We're going to figure this out and get something done. You're the Canadian version, right?
Wow. I don't know if I'm a leader in much.
You know, I don't have all the answers, but to some degree, I mean, obviously the funds could easily be raised. I think from anglers, if they know exactly where it's going, you know, and there would have to be obviously collusion with DNRs, ministries, whatever it is, depending on where you're at, and be willing to do that. I guess it's just to me, and I don't mean any disrespect at all to any fisheries people, but at the end of the day, from what I see that we've talked about, and it currently growing, and realistically everything's going to get better. I don't see any way in hell, Dave, I'll put it exactly like that, how the fisheries, especially these smaller ones, stateside anyway, could actually keep up if it continues to grow in bodies and technology and knowledge like it has for the past 5 years. I don't know. I think I'm pretty close in saying we need to try and get in front of it somehow. That's either reducing the pressure, which we don't want, or try and figure out a way to, you know, keep enough fish in the bodies of water.
So is there any studies that you've got which are saying that the fish, because that's the argument you get back from people is, you know, where are the facts? Because I mean, outside of Texas, I don't know anyone that's putting in Texas opened a new lake 2 weeks ago, like literally a brand new lake that they have stocked with sharelunker, largemouth, and have been getting it ready. And it literally was closed it just opened literally 2 weeks ago. And that to me is amazing. Like when you hear that there's a state that's investing that much and they're opening new lakes. I mean, when's the last time you heard about that? I mean, and where we live, we're lucky that there's tons of natural lakes. But I don't know. I don't know where it goes. I don't know. I mean, other than saying, yeah, they should stock more fish. I mean, I guess we need to do some studies, and I don't know, Pete. It kind of goes around in circles. Like I'm totally with you. I want fishing to be better for years and years to come, but I also don't know if they'll change anything until it gets too late. You know what I mean? Like I know in Ontario, I mean, we're pretty good at waiting till it's a big problem, and then we were at the lake I live on. I mean, had depleting walleye for years, and rather than put a slot limit in like they've done on other lakes around here, and it really worked. It was the only lake you could ice fish close to Toronto. One of the only lakes you could ice fish close to Toronto. Got way too much pressure, so they just put a walleye moratorium in. And they're like, but they waited till the fish were so depleted that I don't know if naturally the fish will ever get back. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Only time will tell. But it's not going to be quick like what you see happen when you get slot limits and things like that affect lakes. But I mean, on those slot lakes that are fishing great, you get people screaming, I can't catch a fish to eat. So, you know what I mean? Because they're all just bigger fish that you have to let go. It is I don't know. I avoid topics like this because I'm not smart enough to talk about them.
Well, the problem is there are no set answers. You know, there's no doubt about that. But and studies to some degree, you know, you gotta have your DNR people accepting of what's going on. But that's very, very simply, the one point you made is, you know, really important. You don't want things to get horrible first before anything gets done, whether it's a management type situation or this, that, and the other. And nobody likes a lot of stuff. I mean, if for me personally, what I like, I guess I could jump on the bandwagon and say, well, we ought to outlaw forward-facing sonar because Pete doesn't like to use it for mine. Well, that to me, it's actually stupid. But if you don't like stocking, think the lakes should be naturally done. What's the solution though? If we're gonna grow the sport, and to a certain extent, the studies usually take too long.
Yeah.
To some degree. The one thing I'm wondering is, and I've only talked to a couple local guys here, and they haven't really started using it all that much yet, but I'm thinking forward-facing sonar would be a way better tool than some of the ways they currently use to assess fish populations. Because I know with all the netting and different things that they do, there's weather and all these different fish moving a little bit, changing their patterns a little bit. I know they have situations where they just end up, based on prior experience with putting nets here and there, but things change in fish world and the fish don't show up there. So I think most of the biologists would agree that, that's certainly not a perfect science. That's one thing about forward facing. If you can get to the point where you can actually, see the species, and obviously spawning times and stuff like that are going to be key with certain species. But to try and assess the, because I agree with that. If it's doable, you definitely don't want to throw a whole bunch of certain species in a body of water that's got plenty of them. Obviously, you can overdo it too. I always say, though, there's always a solution to that, Dave, because there are people who like to eat fish, including my dad, Tex, and myself. And you know what? If you throw too many in, I think we ought to just catch them and eat them. You can manage things that way too. Hey, there's too many of those largemouth bass in there. Start eating them, Dave. Would you ever do that? Have you ever eaten a bass, Dave?
I have, yeah, I have. Dude, I have nothing against people eating bass. In one way, excuse me, I think that the whole catch and release thing in bass fishing has gone too far in some ways. Where, you see people who go away on a camping trip and they post a picture of these 2-pound smallies they caught and they're filleting them up, and people start roasting them in the comments. And I'm like, hey, there's a reason you're allowed to keep fish. Like, if you don't remove fish from a fishery, it'll actually get bad, So I'm not one of those guys who, I have a hard time eating a big bass or anything like that. But I haven't in years, but I don't hold it against anybody who eats a bass. That's one of the weirdest things about our fish to me. Like, to me, a fish is a fish. Like, how people are like, well, you can't eat that fish, but this fish, you better never release them. Like a crappie, if you release a crappie, people are offended by it. It's kind of weird that way. But yeah, no, I'll eat a bass, Pete. Why would you think I wouldn't?
Oh, well, I threw it at you being Mr. Bass Guy like that. I wasn't really trying to be a jerk, Dave, but just a little jab. I found out where you're at on the whole thing, and I totally agree with you. It is kind of weird, like in Wisconsin here. I assume it's the same way there, I guess. But yeah, you can't let a crappie or a walleye go. Well, you can, obviously, but boy, you kill bass. And we've got plenty of lakes around here that actually you could argue there's too many bass. And I think it's as simple as that. You eat what there's a lot of if you like to eat fish. And, a lot of people have their, their personal little deals with this is good and that's good. That pretty much they're all good. I've eaten rock bass, bluegills, crappie, you name it. I remember I was down in Florida here this last winter, and I was catching these sailfin catfish off the pier at the place I was staying. And a couple of locals said, you can eat them, but they're not very good. And if you do eat them, you should deep fry them. And that's that. Of course, I immediately thought, well, I'm definitely going to eat them, and I'm going to broil them with some onions and bacon. They were unbelievable.
Well, you had them with onions and bacon. Most things, you could get Spam in a can, and it's pretty good with onions and bacon. No, it is. And I mean, in that same matter, I mean, you can't even take a picture with a muskie because I'll tell you this, you catch a muskie, no matter how you hold it, somebody's going to tell you held it wrong. You did something
Yeah.
like it's wild, but it goes back to what we started talking about at the beginning. Like it's just a time where people, everybody's got a voice, and sometimes those voices, go in weird directions because I think it's great that we've got a lot of people loving fishing. I think it is incredible that I mean, as somebody who's made their living from this sport, I'm thankful that this sport and the companies in this sport are doing well. Yeah. But I think you're right. We got to care about the resource, but I don't think anybody doesn't. Do you feel that there's people like, are there people that are just putting blinders on and ignoring it?
Oh, no, I don't. Well, I think there's a handful that unfortunately will abuse it for money. I've seen it. I know it. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a little bit of that goes on. But no, for the most part, I think to a certain extent, people appreciate it and understand it, to some degree. It's just a matter of seeing it, and I guess encouraging people to be more thoughtful about it and understand it. It may be a bit of a problem. It was really interesting to me, Dave, how many people reached out to me after we did a little piece on the controversial subjects in muskiedom, Musky World and forward-facing sonar and handling. And obviously that's where you get the most opinions. And there was a lot of them, but what was most interesting to me was how many people contacted me privately, and we had a phone conversation, or we were back and forth messaging, whatever it might be. And there's more, and I think it's realistic, more concern out there than ever of what we've been talking about. And it makes sense, right? I mean, to me, when you do talk about how much the sport is growing, how much better everybody is, everything, that it does make sense. I mean, and so it at least, I guess I haven't studied it, but from a common sense standpoint, and then when you hear it from that many other people, you're thinking it a little bit yourself. When I was being honest with myself, I don't fish the 16-hour days like I used to, but I still fish a lot and I'm pretty good at it. And I think overall, it's gotten a little tougher everywhere I've been, realistically. But when you hear it from that many other people, kind of along the same lines, then you got to pay attention a little bit. I don't think anything is in super bad shape yet or anything like that. But it is interesting how quickly people get information too. Like around here, we have some stocking. I would argue probably not enough, but in Musky World around here, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the lakes that get the stocking, people know about it before it happens, and they're kind of ready to pounce on it. And then the word gets out, social media, texting, whatever it might be, and every year you can see certain bodies of water just so quickly get hammered. And unfortunately, they usually get hammered back down to a point where they're not that good anymore in a matter of a year. So, to some degree, I think there's a lesson in that. You kind of got to spread the stocking out. Yeah. So you don't get, one body of water too good compared to the other ones. All the pressure goes there. You literally see situations like that where there's 5 times the pressure on a handful of lakes for certain species. It happens with smallmouth and largemouth too, probably more smallies, and smallies are real popular around here. But yeah, you'll literally see that much more pressure on bodies of water that get hot when there's all kinds of other bodies of water around, with smallmouth bass in them. So
yeah, it's wild, and techniques are like this. Like there's stuff. I mean, I'm certain in the musky world, I'm certain you had things that you had secret stuff you did for years that even when making TV shows and everything, Nobody got to see it. And now it's like it's a race to get technology out there. Again, I'm part of the problem. You're part of the problem. We're all part of the problem because we're all just doing the same thing. But it's the way it's evolving now. Like you look at simple things that in the bass fishing world that like stuck around for years, where people would be like, "Oh yeah, that person knows." You know what I mean? Like it'd be they know, you know what I'm talking about with this technique or whatever. Where now it's like literally name a technique. I mean, people become experts at it really, really quick. Which again, I think is amazing. I think it's one of the coolest things to watch my kids and watch how they've evolved through life. You know, where I, as a kid wanted to get into something and it would take a long time to learn it. Well, now you just literally, whether it's skateboarding, BMXing, baseball, bass fishing, it doesn't matter. You literally just, how do I do an ollie on a skateboard? You can literally, a video will come up and show you, and you're going to hurt yourself a few times, but you're going to become a lot quicker and better at it than your forefathers. So all you're really asking is that the resource keeps up to the evolution, because the evolution's not going to slow down anytime soon by the looks of things.
No, I'd like to have like at least a 2-3 month period to try it, Dave, to get rid of all the technology. I remember blissfully the old days when a Canada trip was actually a Canada trip. There was no phone, there's no internet, you kiss your wife goodbye, your mom goodbye. You say to everybody, gosh, I may not see you again. I could get lost in the jungle up there. Mosquitoes may suck all my blood and all these different things that could happen on a trip like that. And you're never going to know until I get back supposedly 10 days from now. And now it's, it's all changed, Dave. They're the kind of the excitement and the risk is all gone. But
those pesky emails keep coming.
Yeah, there's no break in it, And I got the stupid phone in my pocket, Dave, even turkey hunting, and I got to make sure I turn it on silent. But you hear little buzzes or feel, I should say. Almost there's just constant communication.
I agree with you. So you're just wanting to turn back time on everything then?
Yeah, but unfortunately, you're right and I'm wrong. It's almost impossible these days. So
I'm not right. It's the evolution. I mean, I've compared it a lot of times to, now the big difference is, before I even make this analogy, is we're talking about a resource here. We're not just talking about a sport. We're not just talking, I mean, they can build more golf courses, they can do other things, but we're talking about a resource that, for the most part, it isn't they're not building new lakes. Not everywhere is Texas. So, but it's the same as when digital cameras came around. I mean, you were involved in TV and stuff, and I'm sure in the magazine world, you heard people who are like, that is not photography. I take pictures, I develop them, I go into my dark room, and there's the risk. And I remember people just being like, this is ridiculous. These kids come along and they just spray and pray, but they never miss those kids. Now the guy who you stuck with the film camera is most likely doing it for a hobby. You know what I mean? He's out of that line of work anymore. Like it's how the world evolves. Like, I mean, people used to get in arguments about how to hook up a boat. Now everybody has a backup camera on their truck. No matter how old it is, you still go and buy yourself the cheap little backup camera system to use. You know what I mean? Like the world is evolving. And I agree, there's tons of faults in it. I use it all the time. I'm like, I don't think people are really learning anymore. Like when I was a kid, when I explained to my kids that, we used to have to go to people's houses that had encyclopedias because we were broke, and you'd hope they'd have that, you wouldn't get one a month. You'd only get one a month if you could afford them, and you wouldn't have all the letters. But if you wanted to learn how to musky fish, you had to have that encyclopedia, and you had to, you really learned it. Well, now every day I'll be with my kids and I'll be like, how big do you think that lake is? They'll ask Surrey or whatever system they're using. Surrey will give them an answer, but they don't really remember. Like a week later, if I say, how big was that lake? They don't remember because they didn't really search it out. They just, It was just kind of given to them. But when you make all those analogies, it's hard not to sound like an old guy just bitching.
True. But I do get mad at myself, Dave, because I started using a damn phone and whatever. They used to be in the car. Now everything, I guess, is on the phone and it runs through the car. But I don't remember how to get to people's houses anymore. I don't. I look at that damn little arrow and the damn line, and you end up at somebody's house, and you couldn't get back there to save your life.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
I go to events and people are like, "What highway did you take?" I'm like, if I was on it for a long time, I know. You know what I mean? I was on I-75 or whatever I was on. But for the most part, I mean, when that voice says turn left now, I do. When it turns, I trust it more than anything. I use Waze, which is a GPS system. I don't know if you use it, but it connects to other people. So it tells you when there's cops. It tells you when there's traffic. Like, I trust it more than me. Like, it's taken me off the highway through hills and valleys, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's no way this. But always, you come out the other side, and you're like, oh, there was a big wreck. It avoided all that for me. But it's how the world is changing, and it's a weird time, and it is. I don't see how it ever slows down or changes, just because. Ask a 20-year-old why they don't read a map. Well, why would I? Why don't you? There's a lot of things that, and that's the answer that you get from them. And again, there's tons of things that forward-facing sonar specifically that I love. There's tons of things that I hate about it. But I honestly think long-term, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, look at how quick things have changed in the last 10 years. 10 years from now, it's going to continue to change even quicker. And I don't know how it stops. Even if tournaments, people want them out of tournaments, okay, they'll be out of tournaments. But it's, I don't, how do you tell somebody not to embrace technology? Like, I just don't know that ever happens. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's just a wild time, and we sound like grumpy old men.
We do. It's a bizarre topic, though. At least we're honest in that we, I guess, don't have the answers. Because I get disgusted in myself for what I just talked about, that I use the GPS to go to places and I couldn't remember and get it. Although I don't change, I don't go back to the old paper map and actually pay attention to where I'm going. I keep using it myself. So I'm definitely a hypocrite here and there. My first grumpy old man moment with all the technology was the maps. When those maps first came out, I had so many places, Dave, where I had such an advantage over people because I'd put thousands of hours in finding all these different things. The most profound one at the end was I had like 6 years of fishing the rock reefs on Mille Lacs Lake alone. Nobody else was musky fishing, and most people were in the weeds, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, a map chip came out for $200, and everybody was smarter than me, just like that. And I was like, wow, that sucks. That really sucks. But you're not gonna, so that's why I guess, so we don't ramble too far, I guess, on being grumpy. And,
probably already have.
Yeah, we probably have there. But do we need to get in front of it, I guess, to some degree? And I certainly, I don't even know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try and pay a little bit more attention to it and contact the DNR people around here and see if I can get some thoughts and work with them. And I know it's a hard thing for them to, probably, get away from the old traditional thing of, natural resource and keeping everything natural. But to some degree, I think realistically, just like you and I are saying, the technology isn't going to go away. I don't know. Selfishly, Dave, I say we just put them fish in there. Let's raise
to
them.
stock the crap
Throw
out of
them
the
in the
lakes.
water. I want dumb ones too, Dave. I want dumb.
All for
they
it.
can be fast. That's okay because fast is exciting, but dumb is good.
Dumb fish.
Yeah, we could maybe, with all the technology we have, we could maybe figure out how to have a breed that gets bigger but dumber. Those I would really like.
But why not just put triploids in every lake? Like, those is that what they're called? Triploids, fish that can't spawn. You see that in the trout world and stuff, and they get just gigantic. They become these, just stock the lake full of triploids. I mean, so we have just giant, ridiculous fish. Put the fish on steroids. I mean, but as soon as you do that, people are going to be like, yeah, but you're not catching natural fish. You're catching triploids. You're catching stock. Like, people are just going to be pissed off, Pete. That's what I'm certain about.
Well, I'll always argue. That's why it's probably safer to just keep putting, same old smallmouth and the same old muskie and this, that, and the other. That way people can't fight over that. We certainly don't need anything extra for people to fight about. We don't want to contribute to that. But I think it's a good idea you had about those triploids or whatever they're called. I wouldn't mind catching one. I've never caught one. So.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, giant fish. And people will, that's proven. People will travel many, many miles to catch giant fish. They don't. But again, that would be all of those fisheries where that kind of stuff has happened, gets exposed really quick. It's just how the world works now, I think. Like, it's just, it's a crazy time. You've been telling me to be prepared for years, Pete, and I'm still not prepared. So can I come to your house if stuff goes bad? Let me tell you a true story. I thought about you a couple of months ago. So I have this friend who is kind of a friend of a friend, but he's got this really successful YouTube called My Self-Reliance. So basically, during COVID, and he's always been a guy who, wants to live off the grid, but he started a YouTube channel called My Self-Reliance. He's got millions and millions of followers.
Oh, I bet.
And like, he lives off the grid, and some of the videos, I mean, you watch some of his videos, it amazes me how many people watch them, but he's not even talking. He's just out, like, today we're chopping lumber, and it's 20 minutes of him chopping lumber and his dog running around, and people, I guess, just want to be immersed in nature. So anyways, he called me and said, hey, we were corresponding. He said, will you come on my podcast? And I said, sure. He had started a podcast, and we still haven't done it. But after I said yes, I said, I better listen to his podcast. So I listened to the podcast, and they were talking about prepping for when things go bad. And we're so prepared. He is so prepared. And they started talking about these idiots that have nothing. And I'm listening to this, and the whole time I'm like, I'm the idiot. I am the idiot that has nothing. And then, but the whole time I'm like, as I've always told you, I'm going to just show up at your house or one of my buddies' house I know who's got prepared. And Sean in this podcast talked about having a year's worth of food in these barrels and all this stuff that you have to have prepared, and communication system with his family because the communication grid's going to go down, and where are they going to meet and all this stuff. I had to stop listening to the podcast, dude, because I am so ill prepared. I started sweating. I'm like, I'm not prepared for anything. Are you prepared, Pete?
I don't think from what you just described that I'm quite as prepared as Sean, but I'm, let's just say I'm probably more prepared than most.
Yeah.
We have a lot of food around here, and we have a lot of food walking around, and this, that, and the other. Yeah. Chickens. I can't remember the last time I ate a store-bought egg, Dave.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So you have your own, your own chickens, and you shoot turkeys, and in time, it'll all just go back to no forward-facing sonar. Things will be simpler.
Yeah. We need it all too. So,
and I'm not laughing at it. Trust me. There's a reason I stopped listening to the podcast, because I'm like, I'm not prepared for nothing. Like, I'm the idiot who's ends up in a bad situation. But Hopefully it's not something I have to deal with soon because I'm not prepared. What else is going on in your life, Pete?
Well, that's really
That's it.
about it. It's turkey time. I'm excited to get back out fishing, and I'm always plotting in my head, Dave, about how let's see how I can outfox some of these young guys with their forward facing sonar and just be smarter than them with the way I go after it, which is actually realistically impossible. But that's what I, you know, move around in my head. How to, there's, I guess, with the fisheries, especially being kind of smaller. But that's my new focus. I guess I mentioned, somewhat to a certain degree, heavy structure situations
Yeah.
where, it's so weird. I was one of the first guys. I certainly wouldn't take claim to be the only guy, first guy, whatever. But open water muskies was like a thing that so few people did. And I used to talk about a spring all the time. But now here's the thing you can do that nobody else is doing. You can go out and cast in the open water next to the spawning areas and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, that's the last thing I want to do because you're competing against guys that I'm like, okay, so I don't want any part of that. So everything's switching with my strategies and this, that, and the other. But a lot of it's actually visual to a certain degree with the old fashioned eyeballs too. In a lot of cases, what I'm doing, I do think fishing pressure does push fish to a certain extent. Some weird and different places. Sometimes shallower and thicker cover than they would ever used to go into. So.
Do you think there's a chance? Because you always hear people say that as this technology continues to evolve, the fish will evolve with it. I mean, we've seen them adapt to many different things. Do you think that there's a chance that those fish that are being picked off out deep now, do you think that there's a chance that, they stop going out there and it becomes goes back to being much more instinctual?
Yeah. I think all of that'll happen, and that's a factor too. It's just I've seen people driving around finding them. I've seen people literally finding big fish and camping on them, and this, that, and the other using it. But a lot of the guys that there's too many now that I trust that have told me they're positive the fish are getting used to feeling it. It's a different signal, it's feel, and they're actually running away from it. I think I've seen it ice fishing. The crappies just seem to move way more and way faster than they used to. It's still unbelievably effective, but you drill holes on top of a couple fish and you catch one or two. Next thing you know, they're gone and they're pretty far. So I think all of that's going on too. So that's going to change to a certain degree. I mean, the thing I talked about earlier about having some bodies of water where you shut your electronics off. I mean, that's a tactic that a lot of people are thinking and doing now. A lot of guys are going through and they're trying to find fish, but then they turn everything off and then come back through drifting. I do think it's changed. The fish have always felt the signals, but to me it makes sense that the forward facing is it's immediate. In a lot of cases, when they feel that, something drops on their head right away. I mean, the side imaging, the people that are good at it, they generally will cruise through, find fish, come back, fish later. Now when they feel it, there's crap landing on their head just about immediately. So they may learn that avoidance. There's certainly a possibility it could be a detriment after a while as far as getting the fish to actually bite.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows how smart they can be? Yeah.
You got a lot of shallow water bass anglers that turn their graphs off when they're shallow because of the pinging. You know what I mean? That don't. But it is definitely at a time right now where it's gonna get people. Well, we'll hear about it in the comments after this show, Pete, I think.
Oh, I suppose, yeah. But fish definitely learn from bad experience. I always use the analogy of the beautiful hamburger, the beautiful Angus steak. you know, the guy that likes to eat sees that, but every time he just about taking a bite of that beautiful steak or beautiful hamburger, he gets swatted in the face with a baseball bat. Well, sooner or later, he's not going after that hamburger or that steak anymore. So maybe the, you know, forward facing turns into the baseball bat, and, you know, who knows? It'll be interesting.
Only time will tell. Only time will tell. And ironically, we use technology to talk to each other about technology here today. And we did. It wasn't smooth at the beginning. It took a little while for our technology to work, Pete.
It's amazing I get anything done. Well, if my wife wasn't here, we'd have never even talked today, Dave.
Yeah,
or I guess true. We did talk, but you couldn't see me.
I couldn't see you. I wanted to see you. Tell me your greatest turkey hunting story to bring things full circle right around. You said you love the turkey stories. Where is your most bizarre, awesome turkey hunting story?
Okay, that was actually last year, myself, hunting alone. For me personally, anyway, I had the longest, I guess, hunt and craziness of things happening and basically being on edge for about 3 hours. So there was lots of turkeys around, and most of the turkeys are on the other side of a blacktop road where I can't hunt.
Okay.
But I'm calling these turkeys, and there actually was some turkeys on the property I could hunt that I was on, but they were far away. And it's hard to describe all of this stuff to people that, you know, haven't done a lot of it, but it was, for the most part, I was getting ignored, but they were answering me all the time. And the toms had hens. They tend to not come to you, Dave, when they've got their own hens that are actually alive and walking around. You know, you can understand that. You might sound sexy, but they got a sexy girl right in front of her. So this goes on for quite a while. And then I start having hens answering me and calling and coming towards me, and everything just gets more and more exciting and ramps up. But it was a long time. And here's the part I can remember. Never in my life turkey hunting had I changed position this many times. And they have unbelievable vision, Dave.
Yeah.
So you gotta, you know, they can nail you from a long ways away. So you got, you know, everything's kind of slow and painful. So I'm literally laying on the ground in the pine needles with the ticks, and I'm slithering this way because the closest gobbler sounds over there. And then son of a bitch, they're coming from over here. So I did that, I don't know how many times. And then the gobblers that I'd heard that were far away on the same side of the road, all of a sudden they start coming. And I mean, hard. The gobbles are getting closer and loud. I'm half deaf, but I can hear their thundering in my ear, and they're doing the same thing on the other side of the road. There's gobblers standing in the road, Dave. I can hear them drumming, and they're gobbling, and they're all coming. Well, anyway, I shot one after all of that, but I have to say my level of excitement was peaked for a long time. It was pretty exciting.
So while you were trying to excite them, they actually excited you.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Well, sounds like fun, Pete. I think that's I think we've pissed off enough people for this week, though. Here's my last thought on all of these things in life.
Okay.
As long as decisions are made with fact, what drives me crazy about all these things is everybody, and YouTube's a prime example of people that get on and use opinions as fact. And they say, I believe this. And as long as we make decisions based on facts, I think we're making the right decisions. It's when people start making decisions based on opinions that it's a problem. And that's all I got to say about that. It's been a weird podcast, Pete.
Yeah, it has. It has.
Yeah.
I won't argue with your final statement. I'll just tell you that I'm going to go turkey hunting with my wife in the morning. It's her season, so we're going to see if she gets one.
All right. Get it. You and the wife get excited to get the turkey. I don't want to ask what happens out there in the woods with you and your wife. Pete, thank you very much for your time. This has been, like I said, an odd podcast because it's not often that I'm in a podcast and I'm like, well, why are we still talking about this? But we're still talking about it because that's literally what that topic is. Like, there's no right answer. And we're going to hear some in the comments from people, but only time will tell. But it's always good to catch up with you.
Absolutely true. I enjoyed it, sir. And yeah, next year you're going to get down here and turkey hunt with me. You're too busy running around doing all that stuff you're doing. You may have to relax a little bit, for
Kick
your
back.
health. And then that way, Dave, you can get prepared. So your buddy Sean will think much more of you,
I don't even want to talk about it. It makes me so nervous. I am not prepared for anything. I mean, I am not making fun of people that are. I'm just making fun of myself because I'm an idiot. But it was fun talking with you. Hopefully we made people a little smarter, or maybe made them feel smarter because we're not that smart, Pete. One or the other.
Yeah, we might have made them feel better listening to all our ramblings. We make a hell of a lot more sense than those two guys. So we do whatever we can, right? But I did enjoy it, man. Thank you.
Always good chatting. Always good to catch up with Pete and, of course, Justin Hamner this week. Both are incredible guests. I thank them for being open, for being honest, and for taking the conversation, well, in a direction I didn't even expect it to go in either of those. But I thank you guys for tuning in. Now, do me a favor. Go out there and make the world a better place. Just be nice to somebody. It's way more fun, and it's needed in today's world. Have a great week. Enjoy being. And as always, Bob Cobb, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?